You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Good evening, happy Thursday night to everybody out in KLRN land. This is your early introduction to the weekend. This is Disasters in the Making. I'm Brad Slager, getting ready to take you down some dark and dingy hallways of cinema and Hollywood. We're not doing this alone. Joining me on the other side of the microphone is none other than ScreenRant.com's own Paul Young. What's going on, Paul?
In there, Bradley. How's your week going?
Not good, and it's your fault.
I apologize. I don't apologize. You deserve
I don't think
it.
you do. I don't think you do. No. We here at Disasters in the Making like to tie in films to what's going on in theaters, what's going on in the news, something significant taking place, and Paul and I were a little stuck this week.
Yeah, it's February.
Nothing really jumped out at us. Nothing really grabbed us and said, this one, you got to go here, got to go in this direction. So Paul, in his infinite wisdom, and yes, you can hear that resentment in my voice. It's legitimate. He decides to look at the calendar.
No. I did this backwards. I picked the movie and then tried to find a reason to tie it in.
Oh, this was serendipity then, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Or kismet or curse, something of this nature. Okay. Well, as it turns out, this was a film that came out, 20 years ago on this date? In
19
this week?
years ago. Yeah, 19 years ago, January 28th.
Okay. A day that'll go down in cinema infamy, so to speak. Really just forgotten. But what we're so Paul and I, we've been doing this for 3 years, 4 years now, this show?
It's been 4 years. I think
Okay.
our first show was in 2019.
Yeah, right around July 4th. So, okay. We're
Right before
approaching our
COVID.
5th. All right. Well, all this time, amazingly, Paul and I have never gone into the deep recesses of the catalog of director Uwe Boll. Is that the way it's pronounced anyway? Uwe?
I call him you Bowl.
You?
You Bowl.
It's UWE is his
It
first
could either
name.
be a question or it's like a directed statement. You Bowl or you Bowl now.
Yeah, usually it sounds more like an accusation. Threat.
I've never really bothered to learn how to pronounce his name properly.
Yeah, most people try to avoid. If anybody listening is not familiar, Uwe Boll is a German director of very known ill repute. He has not made a good movie. The
Ever.
problem is he's made a crap ton of them.
Well, he's made one good film, or I would say one decent film, and that
I
was
dare you.
Postal.
Really?
Yeah, have you never seen
Because-
that?
Oh no, I saw it. That one is just insane.
Is it called Postal?
I think so. Yeah, it's basically
That
that's
is-
based. It's pretty much sociopathic behavior on screen. That's all it is. It's just like nothing makes sense. Here's the thing with Uwe Boll. Most, if not all, of his films are based on video games.
Well, and there's a reason for that, right?
Is there?
Yeah. So he gets because he's German based. They have all these German movie credits that they need to use to make films in Germany, and so he just applies for all these grants to get money from the country to make these films, and then gets the other half of it or so coming from the studio. I don't know if it was a documentary or it was a write-up or something. Somebody did a deep dive into why people keep giving him money to make such garbagey films. I mean, you can go back and he gets people that you wouldn't normally think would make a movie with him, right? So you go all the way back to his first one when he started making House of the Dead. So we've discussed House of the Dead, right? What an absolute terror that movie was. And then you go back to, that's his director. I don't want to see the director stuck. Get his producers out there. Okay, so you go back to House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, In the Name of the King. And The Name of the King is a top-down view Empire Earth, Age of Empires game. And somehow he managed to get both Ray Liotta and Jason Statham in that movie. Blood Rain 2, Far Cry. He made a movie based on Far Cry. Rampage, which is nothing about the game. Max Schmeling, which is actually sort of a documentary style. That's a biography that's actually fairly decent. Back to Blood Rain again. What I think is the most it's the underrated movie he's ever made that people did not understand at the time. They still don't understand what he was trying to do. Blubberella. Have you seen Blubberella?
I've seen clips. I haven't sat through the entirety of it.
It's superhero movie satire.
Sure.
And it's terribly made, but the story behind it is fairly good. And he is to date the only person to have ever made a movie about an overweight superhero.
You almost sound surprised by that.
Go back. I know. Go back and look at any of the other movies that have been made. Tell me one fat superhero that exists. The Blob. He's an anti-hero, and he's in the Wolverine for like one scene, and he's done. He's actually a bad guy. Hulk? No, he's a bodybuilder. There's not a fat superhero. He made this is a character he developed on his own. Thought it would be fun to have a fat superhero woman beating up Nazis, one of which was Clint Howard. And
of course,
it's the only movie that he's made that I appreciate that nobody else seems to.
Yeah, I just because it's him, I can't even bring myself to watch it, because this guy taking on something satirically just doesn't seem possible.
No, I don't know if he wrote it. Yeah, he did. He wrote it. There were a bunch of writers on it.
You know, this is a guy, when he was making these movies and pumping these out, yeah, like he gets these European tax credits and such, even though the movie we're doing tonight, Alone in the Dark, was shot in Montreal. He had it, and here's the other thing. These are reviled. Like when these movies were coming out, you know, this is back when I was writing at Film Threat and Movie Line. The internet just bounced, literally. It was like, oh, here comes another one. Let's find out how bad this is going to suck. And then it was even worse than expected. It was just like that kind of thing. And people kept saying the same thing. How is he getting money for these? This is the amazing thing. Alone in the Dark is horrendous to watch.
Horrendous.
I mean, does it score like 1% on Rotten Tomatoes? Like
1%, 2.4% on IMDb.
This was the number one selling DVD in Germany for 3 weeks running.
Yeah.
So he's,
now,
I guess,
also
tapped into some kind of market.
Also remember that those movies on DVD were back when Blockbuster was still a thing.
Sure.
So you couldn't stream bad movies like you can now. You know, people release movies on Crackle. So if you wanted to watch a bad film, Asylum essentially made their career releasing these movies in blockbusters and
mockbusters.
That's right.
That's how they off. You know, basically something in theaters that's really big. You know, Snakes on a Train. That was the Asylum.
Yes, exactly. And that's what he did. And so that's where he became popular. And while it was the number one selling DVD, it was mostly to stores and not in retail. And it wasn't mostly to like residential home ownership.
But it worked. I mean, there was a marketplace for this effectively. So he kept getting funding for this. Because over there, it was like, well, it's sold. Okay, so good. Here's some more money. Make more of this. And
I know, I say that he did it for the tax credit, but at some point, somebody read the green script for this Alone in the Dark movie and gave them an additional $10 million. I
saw that.
He had a $10 million budget, half of which belonged to Germany. Somebody read this script to the studio and went, that's worthy of $10 million more dollars.
I can only think, and this was much more the case back then too. Like at Cannes Film Festival, you know, everybody's aware of the films in competition that go on there. But what else is taking place is an international film market goes on in Cannes for like a month. And people go out there with scripts, sometimes not even with a script, but just a movie poster to sell the distribution rights to all the various countries. And then they use that money to budget the film that they have yet to shoot. This literally was what was taking place back then in the age of DVD. So you could get a film idea. I've got a script. I'm going to give Lee Majors $1 million to shoot for 10 days, let's say. And you do the one sheet. You go to Cannes. Lee Majors pictures on there with a gun and a hot babe, let's say, with a, a brief, like a 1-page rendition of the script. And you sell this, and, distribution rights to Italy for 100,000, Britain 1.5 mil, Germany 500,000. So you take in, by the end of the market, let's say $10 million. You shoot the film for 5 or 6, pocket the difference, give it to them, and then they do what they want with it. They've got their property, and they could, maybe make some money selling in DVDs and some cable rights and such. And this went on for years. And this is why you would go to Blockbuster or Redbox later. You'd see this movie title with Robert De Niro and 50 Cent. You're like, what in the hell? This was never in theaters. Nope, it was not.
It never will be.
And did they just, some distributor in the United States probably dropped 700,000 for distribution rights and put Robert De Niro on there. He might be in the film for 5 minutes, but he's on the movie poster with 50 Cent. There you go. There's your film. And Bruce Willis, that was his second stage of his career. Nick Cage has done a ton of these. It's this type of marketplace that Uwe Ball found a career for a decade, let's say. And he was just infamous for putting out schlock. And this movie, Alone in the Dark, pretty much sums it all up. So you look at the movie poster. It is black and gray. That is it. You basically have a rib cage with some bony hands pulling the bones apart to see a mouth on the inside snarling. That doesn't even take place in this movie.
No.
I have no idea what the poster is representing as far as this film
the
is
poster,
concerned.
I think, is based on the video game.
Probably.
I've never played the series, so I'm not that familiar with the Alone in the Dark franchise.
Yeah, I'm not either, and this movie is going to make that even less likely. So somebody had written an original script on this based on the video game, and then when Uwe Boll came on and saw it, he's like, I've got ideas. I've got a crap ton of ideas, and crapped all over the script to the point that the original screenwriter doesn't even show up on the credits. It's said that there was like 5 or 6 script revisions, like full script revisions on this. Basically, they were making it up as they went along.
Right.
People say that there's very little semblance to the video game outside of using the names of the characters. And we're left wondering what the hell is going on. So to explain how bad this film is, we start out with about 2 minutes of exposition.
That was added after screenings.
Yes.
Because the movie was so ridiculously convoluted to follow that they had to explain. There's two pieces of exposition at the beginning of the film that were not in the original cut of the film that had to be added. This long, stupid, it's almost, 4.5 minutes long? The scroll?
I don't even know. It's like paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. By the third paragraph, you're like, okay, this is a shitstorm. Because clearly the test audience said, we have no idea what's going on. Why do we care about this? What's that mean? Who are these people? So they have to give all of this backstory. We're basically reading another script to start the movie. This is a bad sign regardless.
Yes. And then Christian Slater does a voiceover for the next 2 or 3 minutes explaining the scenes we just watched.
Yeah, I think the first act or so is him narrating what's going on. and while he's doing that, I'm thinking, wait, is this like his version of events? Is he giving a documentary? How is this justified? But it's really not. It's just needed. So he's basically explaining to us why he's doing stuff.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all.
And you're about to find out why. So I will say this, just one last reference to Uwe Boll. Had you not told me ahead of time that this was one of his movies, I probably wouldn't have as much animosity towards this. Basically a lot of the hatred for the film was built in because it's him. I was
still hate
kind
it.
of surprised at some of the competency in this, and I think that's the highest praise I can give. Not so.
I
what
can
I'm
tell you
ex-
that the competency that you're referring to did not come from Stephen Dorff's character,
no,
or
Captain Cliche.
the chick in her sitting at the console with her hat backwards the whole time,
Yeah, those scenes really felt like an asylum movie, didn't they?
or the white dude with the gun that sees his partner's head cut in half and then just stands there.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, that happened.
God, there's so
What
much
I mean, though, is, and I think this probably has more to do with second unit and set designers and even the cinematographer. A lot of this looks decent. And again, it's all shit. Like, I was expecting like a $50,000 script or something. This is pretty some. There were times I'm like when they shot on the streets of Montreal and stuff, and the streets are completely cleared for blocks. That was some serious work to do that.
Oh yeah.
And some of the sets are okay, and some of the shooting is respectable. So basically, what I'm saying is, I would go from a half a star that I would normally give this, because I would have probably elevated to 1.5. Because not that the movie's good by any stretch, but it's like, this is better than I thought. But again, I was expecting something at the bottom of the dumpster, and really it was just sitting right there at the top of the dumpster. That's the difference.
And either way, it was still in the dumpster, is what you're
Sure.
saying?
Yes. Yeah. The dumpster was not on fire as I anticipated. Maybe that's this movie still sucks. Don't get me wrong. So we get through the exposition, and it's about some group of people called the Abkhani. If I'm saying that right, and it doesn't matter if I am. They existed thousands of years ago. They were a highly advanced society. While everybody else was hunting and gathering berries and fruits, these people were developing art and all kinds of other things. And by the way, they were also opening up a portal to another dimension that they realized existed, I guess.
At the same time, yep.
Yeah, so as they did this, something went awry, and they had to scatter their artwork across the world and close this portal, and it ended up wiping out the Abkhani people entirely, to the point that their artifacts exist in extremely rare areas, and those that exist were collected by a government agency that investigates paranormal activity. Blah, blah, blah. This is what I'm talking about with the exposition. That we have to explain all this to even justify what we're talking about on this movie says it all. Yikes. Okay, so we can finally now get into the movie with all this stupid background established. We go to an orphanage with. They never really explain why this antiquities professor is dealing with an orphanage, outside of the fact that he needs kids for experiments.
And they don't. Where is the orphanage supposed to be? Did they ever say?
Not explicitly. It's somewhere in America, despite being shot in Canada. Yeah, they don't really give us the city itself. I'm not sure. Just take it on good faith that it's America.
I guess. I couldn't figure it out. I was trying to figure out where it was, because it seems like it's close enough for everybody to drive to instantly, but far enough away that nobody knows where everything is. That's the
thing, is like anytime something takes place at a new location, it's like, oh, that's right near headquarters. That's right near the orphanage. That's right near something. Like everything is conveniently in place. So this is the part that I didn't understand, though, is why would a Catholic nun agree to this? What this basically is going on, this guy needs 20 orphans for experiments and says it's for the good of humanity. Tells this nun, I need the 20. They're going to go away, and you need to explain to the police that they just disappeared.
So what I didn't understand is the experiments. I don't understand what he was doing. There's all these, we see later in the movie, there's these beds, these steel beds that they were holding them on, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Well, that's
Well,
where they
they took-
were implanting those centipedes on their spine, Paul. It was very clearly laid out in the second and third act. I can't believe you missed this.
But he wasn't implanting them. He literally just drops that one down that dude's throat.
Well, that was, yes. Well, that happened too. We'll get to that, and maybe that is how they were applied initially. I don't know, but I'm still mystified that this nun just went along with this. She's like, but what? How do I explain? He's like, just tell the police they disappeared, and that'll be enough. And she's like, okay. So a nun is basically turning over children. The guy's essentially telling her that he's going to perform experiments on him in Mengele-like fashion almost. And by the way, I need you to lie to the police. Okay.
Yeah.
She's cool with this. Then we flash to a scene of a young kid running around in the woods away from something. Comes across an electrical substation in the middle of the woods that's locked up. He, though, gets into the substation and gets into the main paddock area, even though everything's locked up, and he hides in there.
And see, and that's what I couldn't understand is where this thing was located, because if it's close enough for a substation of that nature, then shouldn't people have known what was happening?
Yes.
Like he's close to if you don't go out into the middle of rural Texas and find a substation like that, because you don't need that much power moved around. You stay close to where you're going.
Yeah, generally this would feed a suburb of sorts. This would be like coming from the metropolitan area into the suburbs, maybe, but even so, very populated area that this is all taking place in. Whatever. It's just take it at its word, Paul, because we have to do this a lot in this film. The subtitle of this should have been Alone in the Dark, don't ask questions. Because that's going to unravel everything. So the kid is cowering in the substation. We zoom in on his eye, and in the eyeball, we see reflections of these creatures, black and spiny and crawling around. And oh my God, did he die? Doesn't matter. Don't care. Flash forward to current day Christian Slater. What the hell he's doing in this?
He was having a rough go of it for a little while, wasn't he?
Maybe. Or maybe this created the rough go.
Like, what did he do?
He's an archaeologist, we're told. They keep insisting that, even though we never see him actually archaeologicking. He's got a trench coat and some antiquities on him, so take it at its word, he's that.
Yeah, he had a rough go of it for a little while there. What did he do for his movies? Well, he did Wind Talkers, which I enjoyed. Zoolander, but he played himself, so I don't know if that counts. 3,000 Miles to Graceland, which we should talk about at some point.
Yes, geez, that.
Hard Rain, which I actually enjoy, so I don't know if I could ever get down on that one. Broken Arrow.
Did we do Hard Rain? I think we did. Like in one of the early years of our show.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we did, yeah.
We've done several storm films.
Well, yeah, because, every time we get hit with a hurricane, you and I have to do this. So if it's me or you coming under fire of a tempest, we have to go to one of those water disaster movies. Hence Crawl, hence Hard Rain. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was in Hollow Man 2. Yeah, he just started.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
He just started going down.
He did have a rejuvenation recently, though, by voicing a CIA agent on Archer.
That's a great show.
And he's damn good in it. He's hilarious on that show.
Yeah, that's a fantastic show. Oh, he was in Bullet to the Head.
Another one we've done.
That was one of our original ones, yeah.
I think they pulled that down. I linked to it on Wikipedia, and I think they took it off.
Bullet to the Head?
Yeah, like I added it to the, also seen in section. It was like, Disasters in the Making covered Bullet in the Head on one of their episodes, and it was up there for like 4 months, and I think it came.
Was there? That's awesome.
So
Christian Slater probably pulled it down.
Yes. That or Bullet Bourbon. We don't want this guy backing our drink. It's like, dude, I have you all the time. Come on, I'm on your side. Nope. So he's in the back of a taxi cab and some surfer guy is driving and asking him questions, and he keeps turning around in the front seat to talk to him while driving.
As one would do. Again,
nobody on the road there in Montreal, I guess.
City.
Or whatever city they're in, yeah. It's cool, man. Nobody else is on the road. Well, Christian Slater, without turning around, happens to notice they're being followed by another taxi cab somehow. So
that taxi cab that has been following us since the airport. You mean where the other taxi cabs come from, and then you headed downtown? That seems very unusual.
Yeah, you're in a cab from the airport, and another cab from the airport is behind you. He's following me.
Let's not underestimate this, right? So this movie was not written by Uwe. This movie was written by 3 other people, and it feels as if they don't know how people have conversations or the flow of a conversation, how it works. There's some terrible dialogue exchange in this film. People just say things, wait for the next person to say things.
Yeah, it's like we need a line here. That just seems like that went on throughout this movie because there's a lot of things being said that nothing being said. Let me tell you something, Carter. You know that.
Or they say things that are like entirely inappropriate or unnecessary. Like somebody said something about, hey, those things are coming. He's like, yeah, something about your mama. There was this weird line of dialogue, and I don't recall it now, and it didn't fit with whatever else was happening.
Yeah, they frequently, especially Steven Dorff. He basically, I don't know if he was ad-libbing or this was literally his line, but for the most part, he just says stuff for the sake of saying them. Like there's this animosity between him and Carnby. That's the main character who used to be in their group. They hate each other initially. Never established why.
No. Well, because they were both in 713 together.
Yeah, but what led to the departure? You know, like why did Christian Slater suddenly go off on his own? Why did he get kicked out? Was there a fight? There must be some major tension. Yeah, there is, but we're not going to tell you why.
Well, so okay. Carnby says during his big thing of exposition, I had to get out of there to find my own answers because it was clear they weren't going to give me any.
But that's a personal quest. That's not like, you had the feeling that either he did something supremely wrong or Steven Dorff was trying to take over power or something and kicked him out angrily. Or they never go. No, why? Okay, yeah, you get your own personal quest. We get that. But so, like, why would that piss everybody else off to the degree of...
I don't know. You can always tell these, and I call this a low-budget film, but $20 million is not low budget in my opinion. Especially in 2007, that's a fairly sizable budget. So
especially for this hack.
But when you watch like an asylum film of a B-rated film where they're having to like make do with things around them and they can't build extravagant sets, you can always tell when they're trying to hide the world around them as a soundstage or just a regular blank room with all the lighting defects.
Yeah, there's a lot of close-up work. There's a lot of green screen backgrounds.
A lot
that
of
kind
darkness.
of
you don't ever see the walls. There's many, many times that they're in Department 713's headquarters, and you can tell it's just some sort of weird soundstage. They quickly cobble together a set piece, but you never get to see walls anywhere.
Anytime they're inside 713, it feels like an asylum movie. The rest of it actually feels better.
Better, yes.
It has more of a cinematic feel, or close to it, I guess you could say.
Like everybody in the headquarters is completely spread out for no reason, except for the 2 people sitting in the middle with their hat backwards and a headset on.
Yeah,
they're like they sit close enough together as the 2 aliens in Men in Black that run the. I'm talking about the little.
I almost want to say that they probably shot those scenes initially, and then he got that secondary $10 million infusion.
That could
hey guys, we can go outside.
Yeah, that could very well be with it. That's what they did. but it's very it's distractingly noticeable.
Oh yeah, it's like there's a definite quality shift anytime they go to the headquarters, which is supposedly filled with high tech gear and people, and it should feel more expansive and more expensive, and it feels cheaper.
Well, here's the other part: is Department 713 is supposed, and I don't know why they came up with the number 713. I googled it. I tried to come up with some rationale. Couldn't find it. Yeah, I thought maybe okay, they're being cheeky. You know, it refers to something that currently exists or somebody's license plate number or birth date. Nope, I could find nothing.
Area code in Montreal where they shot in the English section of city.
It could be. I couldn't find it. But it's supposed to be the Department of the Paranormal Research. Now, what's the other movie that you can think of that has a Department of Paranormal Research in it?
You mean like a secret government black agency that nobody knows about that investigates this kind of stuff on the sly without the public being revealed to it?
Yes.
I'm at a loss.
Hellboy.
Oh, okay.
So Hellboy, I think, is the closest thing that I could think of in a movie that has a department that does this kind of research. What do you see all around the headquarters? Occultish and paranormal paraphernalia. It's everywhere. Mm-hmm. There's old books. There's old texts. There's props and people walking around studying the props and talking about the props and interacting with the props. And there's none of that. There's people wearing black paintball armor, carrying M16s. What are you doing? Like, what are you protecting us from that you just have like carte blanche from the government to go firing? They
have computer screens. That's it.
They've got armored assault vehicles and miniguns. Like, you're fighting the paranormal. And none of these are paranormal, by the way.
None of these. You need a Humvee, by the stretch of it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, before we get to 713, though, we have to establish that there's something going on because the movie won't. So while we're driving in the taxi, he sees this other taxi. Then they start getting chased by the taxi because the taxi driver's like, oh, yeah, cool. I can lose him. No problem. Dude, I could just drive 80 miles an hour downtown. No problem. And does so. And then Carnby's in the back seat and says, go into that food market. Because, yeah, a tight, confined alleyway is exactly where you want to escape from a car directly behind you. But of course,
fight scene.
The second he said those words, I said, well, they're going to hit an apple cart. And sure enough, first thing they do when they turn a corner is blast right through a vegetable stand.
That's right. Well, if people wouldn't leave their vegetable stands out in the middle of the road.
Yeah, it's like you're selling food in a food market. What are you thinking? Cars are coming through here at high speed at any point in time. So he ends up sliding sideways. The other taxi rams him, backs up, rams him again, but Christian Slater just manages to dive out of the car in time. Taxi driver be damned. He's probably dead. Then the guy gets out of the second cab. They start fighting and chasing and shooting, and Christian Slater kicks him, and this guy goes flying about 30 feet and then through a plate glass window. What's going on here?
Like, I think there's some fighting in the video game, but I don't recall any of it like that, and he certainly wasn't superhero-ish.
Well, no, this is like establishing Christian Slater's got superhuman powers, and we never see them again throughout the entire film.
No, he doesn't need them again. He has a gun.
So he's supremely gifted physically, and we're never going to address it. So they get through they're fighting, they're in the fish market, there's ice everywhere, and then he gets this guy, flips him over, he lands on a spike and dies. And then Christian Slater, I think, just passes out.
He shoots him a whole bunch of times before he...
And nothing happens to him then.
Nothing happens to him, yeah, he just keeps moving. And then there's this weird... I don't know if it was done this way on purpose prior to the infusion of extra money, but like he goes to take a shot with a gun, and we see the camera go inside the barrel of the gun to watch a bullet load. Then we follow the bullet out with the muzzle fire, which they love muzzle fire in this movie. There's more muzzle fire than any gun I've ever seen have muzzle fire. And
well, that's
then the camera goes back in to watch the reload pop back into the thing, and then we watch that second bullet come out. Then we bullet time or whatever through the air, watching one bullet break ice and the second bullet shoot the dude like in the chest for no reason, because the dude doesn't fall down. He just keeps moving. So what was the point of that whole scene?
Because we can do it.
I mean, I guess we can. It doesn't mean we should have.
It's another instance of, hey, you know what would be cool here? Yeah, that'd be cool, but it wouldn't make sense. But yeah, let's spend a shit ton of money on CGI for these bullets to leave the gun. We see it pour out of the chamber with fire, break through the ice, and hit the guy, and it has no effect, and we move on. Well, that was a couple million well spent. Cool. All the while, Christian Slater's got this rock-like object. It looks like it's carved. It's about the size of a softball or something. This is an artifact. And the other guy wants it. The other guy gets it, but then Christian Slater gets it back. And a lot of rip-off Matrix stuff goes on here. There's like, slow-mo time, and they're fighting, and the guy gets the rock, and then Christian Slater spins backwards and kicks it out of his hand and catches it.
And it's weird because the Matrix stuff was some 1999. It wasn't even like recent. He's like 8 years behind.
It was really basically, hey, we can do this, let's do it. But he makes it back to his spacious studio apartment. And I didn't even follow this part. I played it on replay a number of times. I think he's studying this rock, and then all of a sudden his other hand pulls up this gold cylinder. Was it inside the rock? I didn't catch that part. Like, where did that come from?
I don't know.
All of a sudden, this
whole MacGuffin thing was weird.
He's really like intently looking at this rock-like object, and then his other hand just all of a sudden reaches up this gold cylinder. We never see the rock thing again. That's gone. And whoa, it's deeply important. Nah, this gold thing's important. So now we have to go to a museum where Tara Reid is a curator.
Oh my gosh, this dude.
Tara Reid is a museum curator. Did I mention that part?
She is less believable as an archaeologist as Denise Richards was as a nuclear physicist in the James Bond movie.
How dare you, Paul? She had her hair tied back and she's wearing glasses. She's smart.
Did you read that? That's what he had her do that on purpose to keep her from looking like a ditzy, sexy whateverness. Like, I guess up to that point she had played a bunch of ditzy roles. So in order to make her appear smart, he had her put her hair up in a bun and wear glasses.
Okay, it says everything if Uwe Boll is thinking you're too stupid for his movie.
Well, the best part is that she has
put her in it.
Well, at the time, I don't know if it exists now, but at the time she had a no nudity clause in her contract, and so it's weird that he wants her to appear smart, but then tried to coerce her into doing a nude sex scene in this film, and I don't recall seeing it in my cut of the film. There's supposedly a sex scene between her and Christian Slater. Did I miss that?
Yeah, I didn't have it in my my version.
So yeah, I watched.
I probably did.
Yeah, I watched it on Prime, and they said when I was doing a little research on this thing, they said that the 2007 re-release of the DVD, or maybe it was 2012. Anyway, that had the scene in it, but it's fully clothed and it's just them grinding on top of each other for a weird amount of time.
Yeah, these two they kind of hint at them having a relationship, but we don't see anything really.
Well, the guard at the beginning when we first introduce her, she's trying to catalog this box, right? He goes, "Oh yeah, she's a little upset. You'll have to excuse her. She's a little upset because her boyfriend's been missing for, what do you say, 3 months?
Yeah, something like that.
Right? But then later, we find out that he's her boyfriend, and she's like, oh, she just gets up. He walks in behind her. She goes, oh, you're back. Well, that implies that you knew where he went.
Yeah,
Not that he was missing.
She gives him a hug and then she punches him
Yes,
because she misses him and he never told her where he'd be, I guess, or something.
But his apartment's right there. He's clearly been back and forth to it. There's still stuff in there operating. There's lights on. She doesn't know where his apartment is.
I guess he had all his utilities paid ahead of time.
And then after she punches him, it's as if he hasn't been gone for 3 full months. She just turns and goes, yes, I got this thing. Let me see it. Okay.
Yeah, so she says, I missed you. Punches him. How dare you, you asshole, you son of a bitch. This box came today. And he says, I got this gold thing I need you to figure out. So she scans it, quote unquote, by taking a probe and running it over the top of it one time. And now the computer has a complete 3-dimensional 360 assessment of this device that they can now study.
Oh my gosh. But here's the problem. Here was the best part. It's like they couldn't figure out what all the pieces did. They're like, I don't know what all these pieces do. It is clearly a puzzle. Put them together.
Yeah, his device, like he can turn it and then it extends a bit, so it almost looks like a gold birthday cake. 3 layers. She's got 4 other pieces that are gold with the almost same kind of inscriptions on them. Yeah, think those all to go together. And then he makes the announcement that the Abkhani placed these objects 10,000 miles apart on the globe as if they were trying to get rid of them. It's like, then why do you want to put them together? They did that for a reason, you dumbass.
But they never put them together. They don't put those things together like a birthday cake until like near the end of the film, like in the middle or late.
Well, his gold piece extends into the birthday cake, and the only other one they put together is derived from the next scene, which takes place on a shrimp boat. I mean, I'm sorry, a scientific research vessel. The outriggers on this are pulling up a wooden crate from the bottom of the ocean. They keep mentioning the name of a ship. They don't go into. We have to put this part together. Like, oh, so you found the Excelsior or whatever the hell it was called. Oh, that's what they were doing in the ocean. Got it. Okay, now it may. Anyway, they pull this crate out. Inside is a solid gold coffin. Okay.
That's to prevent the paranormal from escaping. Solid gold's all you do.
By all means, let's crack this thing open that somebody intentionally shoved out in the middle of the ocean and put it on mile down on the ocean floor. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to open that up. But on board is Dr. Hutchins, Professor Hutchins, who's apparently affiliated with the curator, Terry Reid. Did I mention that she's a curator? She's a museum archaeologist curator, Terry Reid is. She's got glasses. He's out there on the ship and he tells the guys, don't do it, don't do it. The ship's captain, who's the guy from Elf in the mailroom. I didn't see his name, but I recognize him from that. I got ideas, man. They don't want to listen to my ideas. Oh, you're so smart. You should tell them, yeah. And then they start drinking. That guy, he's the ship captain. So they lock up the professor and they open up the coffin. And guess what, Paul? Something goes awry.
What?
Yeah, I figured out. It turned out not to be a swell idea. But I also don't understand. The professor breaks out of his lockup, comes on the ship, sees everybody dead. Well, what about the thing that killed him? Where'd it go? Why isn't it attacking him? Because we need him in the movie, I guess.
Well, it jumped some ship and swam to the shore.
And apparently the professor piloted the ship back to port. We have to assume.
It made it back somehow.
So that happened. And once this thing gets free, apparently signal of some sort went out. Like the release of this creature caused a paranormal radar to go out. Various people spring up in bed and just walk out of their house. Just wander off in their pajamas or whatever they're wearing. They just go out the front door.
They're washing dishes.
Don't even close the front door. Don't even turn the water off at the sink. They just walk away.
Did you notice that all the people that walked away were all stunt people?
Well, that's convenient.
None of them were actors, like real actors. They were all stunt people.
And it's funny too. Like I think this entire cast, like 3/4 of it, all have the same. Aren't they all like captain or something like that?
And they call them sleepers, right? Isn't that what they said? They call them sleepers.
Yeah. They're now. These people have become zombified, I suppose, is what we have to go with.
But what was their point? What was the point of their existence?
Well, Paul, I can explain.
Oh,
that's only because I had to actually look crap up. So Carnby, though he apparently is dispatched from this agency that's called 713, that are now when this thing escaped from the ship, the 713 agency all of a sudden got high electromagnetic activity on their computer screens. And Stephen Dorff is now very concerned. This isn't good, he says. And we come to learn that they had this animosity between him and Carnby, Christian Slater, because while visiting his girlfriend at the museum, the lights start flickering and going on and off and flashing, and then the security guard goes to investigate. The security guard gets killed by a spiny creature, and then he starts attacking those two, and then everybody from 713 shows up, and that's when Stephen Dorff tells Carnby to get the hell out of here, even though he was there first and he belongs there. And all of a sudden he's got jurisdiction over a museum. Is that how that works?
Yeah, and again, completely dark inside the interior of this museum. Can't see any walls, no corners.
For good reason, Paul. These creatures affect the electromagnetic energy fields so that lights go out. But my flashlight worked, but your flashlight is close to the power source, therefore it still works, kind of thing. But really at this point, nothing matters anymore. 713 starts shooting these creatures, and the creatures kill a lot of them. Stephen Dorff is all pissed off. They have a tussle. Christian Slater, in the process, gets a hold of his ID. He goes back to 713 to go visit a friend of his. This guy gave him files earlier that showed every single person that wandered off into the night were from his orphanage.
Dum dum dum.
And so these are 19 people that are now unaccounted for. And Carnby's the only one accounted for. This apparently is a big plot point, by the way. So hang on to that. Stick that in your back pocket, everybody. You need this later.
Also, everybody has this thing inside them attached to their spine, and they're lucky that all 20 of these people or 19 of these people have not had an X-ray or MRI in their entire childhood life or adult life.
Exactly. They managed to escape complete medical detection of this thing.
I have found out an interesting piece of news while we were talking.
Oh?
I was looking up the Abkhani. I wanted to find out if it was real. If you ever get a chance, the Abkhani is a real tribe.
Okay.
They spell it differently, Abenaki, but it's basically the same. There are still 3,200 Abkhani living in Vermont and New Hampshire, around the Lake Champlain area.
Except we were told the Abkhani were all over the planet.
Well, of all of the planet includes Vermont and New Hampshire.
Because archaeologist Christian Slater had to go to Chile to get that gold thing of his.
The mythology for this tribe is wackadoo, bro, because they're mostly Canadian.
Okay, well,
Oh,
apparently Uwe Ball knows more than these historians.
I-
Just saying.
if I was to make up a tribe that didn't exist or that I did not want to exist, I'd come up with a name that wasn't similar to something that did exist.
Yeah, you don't want to be researchable in this kind of environment, but there you go.
Oh,
But so he uses Stephen Dorff's ID badge to go back to 713, where he's not welcome, where his buddy, the autopsy expert, is working. He's now digging into the body of the guy that he killed Christian Slater killed earlier on the spike, pulls his skin apart, and on the spine finds this millipede.
that's essentially what it was, right?
And by falling on the spike, severed his spine, severed the millipede. That's why the guy died. And yet he's still getting a readout. That's odd. And then he puts the scanner up to Christian Slater and finds out that he's got one of these in his back as well, but it's dead. Okay, if it's dead, then how did your handy device notice it? I don't understand that. But then we come to learn that during that opening scene, he became electrified, which they never showed, and that killed the millipede that's on his spine, apparently. And this is how he's not affected by the escaped creatures like everybody else is, but he still has his superhuman powers from this thing. Is that what's going on here?
I don't know, because he only does the superhuman kick once.
I know.
Other than that, like in a later scene, Tara Reid's character's falling down a ladder and he grabs her by a hand, but he can't manage to hold her and himself up without her putting her feet underneath him.
Yeah, he should have launched himself in the sky or something. I don't know. Again, it's like everything's done out of convenience, or it would be cool. Nothing is supposed to make sense.
Well, they succeeded.
Okay, so now we have to wonder. Wait a second. This guy, his name was Pinkerton, the one that he killed. Was he one of the kids at the orphanage too? We have to assume, because I don't know if they explained that part.
You know what? I don't know.
I think they said something like he was former 713.
Yeah, he was former 713.
But
well, that doesn't make any sense, right? Because there were 20 kids, and 19 of them have disappeared, and Slater's character makes the 20th. So Pinkerton could not have been.
All right, so
But Pinkerton was also not in the video game.
Exactly.
So who knows?
All right, so at some point in time, Stephen Dorff and Carnby are now buddies, and now they have to team up, and now they have to work together. Okay. And Dr. Hutchins from the boat goes to the museum. He's mad at Tara Reid because she opened his box when he had disappeared for months at a time. How dare she do her job? And then he obtains one of these creatures and brings it back to a lab. And he's got this thing locked up. And he jabs it with a long probe, pulls a syringe out of it, and then injects himself with the blood from this creature. I'm starting to pick up on the fact that Dr. Hutchins is bad, Paul.
But why does he inject himself with the blood? It's never explained.
It's not.
Even near the end, where he's got them pushed up against a wall trying to steal the key, he's like holding an M16. He's not like throwing them all over the place.
The only thing I could guess, and again, you have to do that throughout this film, has to do with like that final scene, which we'll get to soon enough. But and then also Hutchins at one point is in 713 and he gets the drop on Carnby's guy. And then he puts one of these millipedes in his mouth. His eyes cloud over, and then Hutchins says, "You're one of us now." Okay, so I guess Hutchins also has a millipede on his spine. I can only assume. It basically comes down to this. Hutchins was using the kids for this millipede experiment for whatever damn reason, because he wants to open the portal to the dark side that the Abkhani sealed off. Why?
No one knows.
This is an evil group of creatures that are going to wipe out humanity. Of course you want to open up that portal.
Like, it would make sense if he was part of a larger group or like, cabal of some sort, and their goal was to bring these monsters in because the monsters also bring Cthulhu or something. They're nothing. He just wants to bring the monsters into the world.
Apparently.
But he already has one of the monsters.
Yeah, he has one, but he's injecting himself with its blood, I guess, to control them, because now the people at 713 are saying we have to go to a gold mine because all of our sensors are picking up a tremendous amount of activity there. Okay, I guess. Like, there was no activity before, but now there is. Even though the portal has not been opened, and they've only released one monster, although there's another group of monsters somehow. Where'd they come from? Don't know. Doesn't matter. So now the entirety of 713, with the exception of a couple people left at headquarters to direct them, because they could see every single thing on the planet from there, apparently. I don't get it. Like, they're directing, they're telling them, okay, we got monsters coming on the third level. Okay, they're going around the backside. You're like a couple miles away. How do you know this? They know more than the people on site, however. And the generator goes out. The Jenny, by the way, Paul. That's what it's called if you're in the military.
That's just the Jenny?
It's a Jenny.
Is it the Jenny from the block?
And so now we've got Stephen Dorff and Christian Slater and Tara Reid, the archaeologist, curator, museum, all on site. They're seeing Abkhani writings inside this mine. One guy on the floor is like, I found more here. And then the floor falls through. He falls through. And he lands on a bunch of spikes and dies. What happened to the floor that he was on?
Disappeared.
He was on a big 6-foot wide disc that fell down with him. That should have, no, he fell like 40 feet. Not optimal health as a result there, but this disc would have landed to the point that he wouldn't die on those spikes that are now. But anyway, everybody looks down in the hole, sees him dead on spikes, and the first thing that comes to mind, we have to get down there.
We need to go look and see what's going on. I didn't notice these guys are not wearing a lot of color, but there's a lot of red shirts in this film.
Well, it's kind of revealing that everybody at 713 that's wearing body armor dies. Carnby, Tara Reid, and Stephen Dorff do not wear body armor, and they don't die.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's how body armor works. It's because it's paintball armor.
Well, it is that, but it doesn't work regardless. So if you have body armor, you're going to die. Let's just say that. And they are, they descend into this hole. And meanwhile, everybody outside is now turning around because, and this made no sense, Dr. Hutchins is now, he appears on like a bridge and he raises his arms and just waves, and now dozens and dozens of these spiny creatures start rushing towards the gold mine.
Dozens, hundreds. Oh, sorry. You're talking about the up top.
Yes, but here's the other problem now. One, they've already sensed heightened activity at the mine. Why didn't they sense all of these? Two, where the hell did they all come from? Because we later get told you got to open the portal to allow these things into our realm. Where did these dozens come from that Hutchins is controlling? Makes zero sense at all. I'm talking like within the realm of their environment, because nothing in this movie makes sense. But
And the perimeter they set up with the minigun and the helicopters, which, by the way, I would have had the helicopters in the air prior to the attack, because then wouldn't you want to use them with spotlights to see what was coming this direction?
yeah, and they wouldn't be affected by the electromagnetic blockage that these creatures create somehow and such. Because they we're also told that they would die in sunlight, and at 713 they have special, what is it, luminescent bullets that they shoot them with.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! I completely forgot about that. He's like, I'm going to need a bunch of these, and he just walks in with a case. We never once see those bullets again.
Well,
Is
we
that
do
what's
because
Is that what's
everybody
causing all the? They're all shooting. Is that what's causing the muzzle fire? The excessive muzzle fire is the.
yeah, that
the
and
sunshine
they all
bullets?
look like tracers when they're shooting. It's you just see yellow bullets flying everywhere. But apparently that light, when it penetrates them, will kill them, but only if they get hit with like 30 or 40 of these bullets. Because we see these creatures getting slammed with gunfire, and they're still like growling and snarling until they drop.
Well, the title of this film is very ironic, right? It's called Alone in the Darkness. At no point is anyone ever alone in the darkness.
No.
There's no single scenes where somebody's having to fight one of these things by themselves.
Well, maybe at the museum when they first encounter one. That's about it.
You think so?
Because like the lights are flashing and such, and that lets the creature slip around and come up behind the guard and kill him, and then they're running into a room to hide, and this thing comes to them. It's kind of dark, sort of thing.
It's like they track them because of their it affects electricity, and he says, "Then why is my flashlight still work?"
Yeah. Well, because it's close to the power source, you see. So,
those are batteries, dum.
not even electric. But yay, we'll go with that one. We'll hit that explanation.
I'll tell you what. If it affects electricity so much, why is my spoon still working? I mean, that was just as stupid a comment. Why can I still walk in my shoes?
Oh yeah, explain windmills then.
Explain windmills.
But yeah, this is the movie we're dealing with. So they're down in the hole while the military's being attacked up above, and they come across. Well, they're on the ground, and there's this thing crawling in the sand while they're in the bottom of the hole. You've got 6 people trying to shoot this damn thing, and nobody can hit it. It's pretty big. It's like about a 4 or 5 foot tail-like thing, and nobody can shoot this damn thing. Finally, they get it, and then they come across a brand new, like everything in this is a cavern and rustic and rocky, but then they see a brand new cement wall. I'm not an archaeologist, but this would indicate to me that people are trying to put something there for a reason. Like, don't go in there. Usually, if you have a newly constructed wall of this sort, it's to keep something out. Nope. First thing we got to do is blast this son of a bitch.
Blast it.
Which they do, and they get through, and they find a laboratory on the other side. Gurneys are all over, and medical supplies, and tables and such. And one of the gurneys has Carnby's name on it. Intrigue.
So is that where he took him?
This was where the 20 orphans had the millipede inserted into their spine, you see. Of course.
So he brought them down into a gold mine to do this work?
Yes, this is what the movie is telling us, that in a gold mine, there are ancient writings from the Afghani, next to which a state-of-the-art medical lab was installed. Because, of course, there was.
Why wouldn't there be?
So now we have to draw the conclusion that Dr. Hutchins was behind all of this. He had this lab inside of a gold mine 40 feet below the surface to stick millipedes in the spine of children in order to have them become zombies for these spiny creatures.
And I mean, maybe they were he was supposed to create them to go find the stuff, like all the pieces to the key, to put the key together to open the door to allow them to come out. But that lady was washing her dishes. She wasn't looking for a key. She appeared to have had a home life with children and responsibilities.
Yeah, so his friend John was in love, had a wife, and all of this, and then he just wandered off in his pajamas and became a zombie.
And then he killed John without thinking. Like it didn't even dawn on him that he wasn't not going to kill this guy. Just like, oh, boom, dead. John, no, dead.
No, well, Carnby, you couldn't help it. You had to kill him. Okay, let's go over here and do something. That was pretty much the explanation we got. So now we're in the lab, figured this out, and then we see yet another wall portal. This one, though, has glass partitions with one in the center that's cement with inscriptions and a curious design in the middle of it. And Christian Slater's like, wait a second. That gold thing that looks like a birthday cake is in my pocket, and when I open it into a birthday cake, and it fits perfectly in here, and I could open this. Why? Why would you even think that? Why would you even think of opening the damn thing? But now we have this lingering moment. Do you really want to? All the answers are on the other side, but do you really want to? Hem and haw. And then Dr. Hutchins shows up. This guy is, throughout the movie, has an ability to get places he's not supposed to be. So he's on a ship and has full control of it when he shouldn't. When 713's in the museum and locks the place down, nobody's allowed in here. And then Hutchins just shows up in the office with Tara Reid. He's like, oh, hey, by the way, I've been missing for a while, but how you been? And why did you open my box, bitch? And he's just able to get a monster and bring it back to a lab. And now he just happens to show up on scene at the mine and nobody notices or cares. He's now down below with them, has a gun. You're going to give me that key, Carnby. And he proceeds to use the key, gets him off on the side, opens the door, and then Stephen Dorff goes into action and throws a knife across the room and stabs him in the chest and kills him. I would have made that move like 30 seconds earlier, Steve. Just going to say it. Would have been helpful. Don't open the portal, but portal's open. And we then get to see that there's thousands and thousands upon these black spiny creatures sleeping, waiting for the portal to open up. Why? What, how are they surviving? Like, what do they subsist on? What are they eating? Should I not ask these questions?
They subsist on darkness.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Maybe I
Subsisting on
don't
darkness.
understand biology in the other portal or what have you. So, okay, well, let's go with that. Yeah, that's it. Like we see in computer fashion, but like almost like a mountainside, and they have these little holes dug into them, and these creatures are in them. But as soon as the portal opens, it just wakes them up, and they're like, "Hey, wait a second, portal's open, guys! Hey, everybody, portal's open! Time, let's go!" Okay, they've been hibernating for thousands of years, I suppose. Sure. So Hutchins is dead. They all have to get back to the surface now. Before these creatures, they set a timer on a bomb that can be detonated remotely. They're climbing back up the ladder, and Stephen Dorff realizes that it it's not detonating remotely. So he has to go all the way back to the open portal in order to throw this bomb that can basically destroy 2 miles of subterranean Earth, apparently. I don't know what the hell explosives they brought down, but geez. This
It
thing.
was all plastic explosives. But it wasn't just plastic explosives. They also had time. Did you notice that every timer was set for like 5 seconds, 8 seconds? They never really gave them a significant amount of time.
Yeah, like when they blew up the wall, it was 9 seconds. It's like, you better scatter, dude. How about 15, just to give you time to get around the corner, maybe? I mean, I'm not military trained, but...
And it blew up the whole place. And all he had to do to get away from it was dive out the first door.
Yeah. But meanwhile, Christian Slater and Tara Reid, the museum curator archaeologist, they climbed all the way up this ladder, 40 feet. He shoots through a lock on a metal door that wasn't there before. They climb through it, and guess what, Paul? All of this took place right underneath the orphanage. It all makes sense now.
Wait, the gold mine is under the orphanage?
That's exactly what I'm thinking here. It's like, wait a second.
You're sitting on a literal gold mine.
They had to have been drilling and exploding and doing things for years and years underneath a metropolitan area. Okay. Oh, and by the way, somehow he created this entire medical lab 40 feet below it as well. That's convenient. Okay, got it. So as they get through the door now, he's like, holy cow, this was right next to the orphanage. And they're standing on the grass. The bomb goes off, blows up the portal. Fireball goes down a hallway. It goes up the shaft they had climbed out and out the storm doors that they just climbed through. That's how explosive this blast was. Oh, and by the way, Steven Dorff survived 10 feet away. Sure he did.
Why wouldn't
he? And so
he was wearing, to be fair, he was wearing paintball body armor.
True. Oh, no, he wasn't. He just had on he had a tactical vest on so he could like hang his walkie-talkie and stuff. But no paintball gear, so he survived. I guess. Sure he did. And so complete randomness here. We get a notification comes up on screen. It says like it has the time. Oh, and by the way, the entire city was evacuated. What?
Exactly. I think they tried to do something along the lines of Resident Evil when it came to this situation, because there was an Alone in the Dark 2 they tried to make. Sure. And it's worse than this one, if you can believe that.
But throughout all of this, 713 is they're in charge of all of this. At no point in time do we see any officials, any agency, any government-run apparatus involved in this. When, how, and why would they then evacuate the city?
It doesn't even make sense.
I mean, nobody knew this was going on.
And again, how they didn't get in a car and drive to the big city. So this house and this gold mine, this orphanage and this gold mine are close enough to a city where they can walk to the big streets without having to drive there.
Yeah, they survived this blast. They're like, okay. So they then are seen walking through a downtown area. And the place is deserted. I mean, there's a couple cars and stuff. You don't see a single person. They're just walking down the middle of the street and not doing anything or saying anything. You're just like walking. You're like, I'm sorry, is the movie over? Are we done here? What's going on? And then they stop and turn around, and the camera is like 2 blocks away and suddenly comes racing right up to their faces, and that's your film. So that would mean if this was one of the creatures, it happened in the middle of the day, which we were told would kill these creatures. Right? I mean, what the hell just happened?
Well, okay, so the door was opened. Maybe the city wasn't evacuated. Maybe the city was infested. But nothing got out, so I don't know. Maybe the doctor and all his monsters attacking killed the city people first.
All right, are you ready for this? This complete train wreck of a film. I'm going to completely ruin it. Are you ready?
There we go. You just can't leave well enough alone.
Nope, I cannot. I keep forgetting his name, but the one friend that Carnby had back at 713, the medical guy.
Yeah, Robbins
Fisher?
or something.
Fisher?
Maybe.
At one point, he says something when they're discussing like how to battle these things. He's like, well, the only thing that really works is a metallurgic reaction they have or something. So only steel and platinum and gold and silver, blah, 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 this could all contain them. Hence, this kind of explained the coffin. So the one creature that was in the coffin in the middle of the sea, that's how it was kept at bay because it's cool. Okay. The portal was in a gold mine.
Yeah, that's how they can't get out.
You didn't even need a wall. You didn't even need a door. Done. They can't get. It's gold. They're held at bay. How about this? Don't do nothing. So they had no chance of going through this portal because it's a damn gold mine. You idiots. See?
Just leave it the way it is. You don't have to mess with anything.
Jeez, this movie. I'm cracking up just because they. I think he felt like he had this really complex and deeply valid mythology he had built. No, he did not. It's just, and everybody that has seen this and played the video game said it's absolutely nothing at all like the video game. Like,
Well, yeah.
Did you ever see the original Doom? Not the one with the Rock, but the first one that came out.
I thought the one with the Rock was the first Doom.
Oh, maybe it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did, because they did a remake, I think, of such. But yeah, but there was one lengthy scene in that film. It was like 20 minutes of just, you see the barrel of a gun, and it goes through, and it's like you're playing a video game. Well, it's like you're watching somebody play a video game.
It was the first first-person shooter video game, so they made a first-person shooter scene in the movie.
But that at least tried to justify making a movie based on the video game. This didn't. This was like, okay, we like that character and that, we like their name. We'll do that. That was
Now,
it.
did you read that interview with the original scriptwriter, Blair Erickson?
Oh yeah, I did see that.
He did something with a website called Something Awful, which, by the way, Something Awful used to be a fantastic blogger's website way back up in the day. I don't even know if it's true, if it's still a thing that exists. It is not very well maintained. Holy cow, it is a blogger forum. It's not good at all. I don't like this one bit. This hurts my feelings. So he did this interview. It's dripping with sarcasm. It is just such a good quote. So originally and I like his idea. His idea sounds fun. He said originally the script took a darker premise, and it depicted as if we were following a true story of a private investigator in the northeastern United States, which northeastern, that's the Abercrombie tribe, with missing persons cases begin to uncover a disturbing paranormal secret. It was told through the eyes of the writer following Edward Carnby and a co-worker for a novel, and depicted them as real-life blue-collar folks who never expected to find hideous beings waiting for them in the dark. We wanted to stick close to the H.P. Lovecraft style. I like that. That sounds like it could be fun and scary.
It sounds like Ghost Hunters goes awry.
Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft. If you're going to stick to that, cool. And then he goes on to say, thankfully, Dr. Bull, calls him Dr. Bull, thankfully, Dr. Bull was able to hire his loyal team of hacks to crank out something much better than our crappy story, and in all sorts of terrifying horror movie essentials like opening gateways to alternate dimensions, bimbo blonde archaeologists, sex scenes, mad scientists, slimy dog monsters, special army forces designed to battle slimy CG dog monsters, Tara Reid, Matrix slow motion gun battles and car chases. And oh yeah, a 10-minute opening backstory scroll read aloud to the illiterate audience, the only people able to successfully miss all the negative reviews. That is such a great quote for an interview.
Yeah, that last line right there was gold.
It's so good.
And so apt. But
He better be careful. He may Uwe Boll might challenge him to a boxing match.
Yes, this was something he was infamously known for doing, like barking at his critics to the point that he challenged them to boxing.
It was in 2006, and he fought Jeff Snyder. I used to follow him on Twitter all the time until he turned out to be like most of these guys, jackweeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's apparently a pretty good boxer.
Who's that? Uwe Boll?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, I don't know why he this guy, he's anything and everything he's made is just schlock. Like you were talking about the movie Postal. This is another video game that was kind of a precursor almost to Grand Theft Auto. I mean,
maybe.
Basically, it's kind of like the movie Falling Down, where a guy just snaps and literally goes postal. He just traverses the landscape and exacts carnage and violence and all kinds of other socialistic behavior. And the movie version of it is just crazy. It just makes no sense. There's no purpose. You have no idea what's going on or why. You know, I watched it, and again, it's competently made. You know, it's composed rather well on screen. But what the hell? You know, it's almost like everybody showed up on set and was like, let's noodle around a little bit. What do you think? What if we go in a store and just start shooting things up? What do you think of that? Do that? Okay, we'll do that.
This is called San Francisco now, or Chicago.
Yes. That's why I'm kind of cracking up when all these people are like, you know, getting angry about the Israel-Palestinian conflict. It's like, how about calling for a ceasefire in Chicago? Want to maybe do that? Would that be an idea? But this is, I'm glad that Uwe Boll has declared a ceasefire on his career. We've not seen anything new from him in quite a while.
I was trying to find what he did overseas, or just to find out what his overall budget is. He's not even on Box Office Mojo.
Well, this one, Alone in the Dark, it came out, earned barely $2 million its opening weekend. Like, it debuted at number 12.
Oh, yeah. But I was trying to see what his lifetime gross is. Like his personal lifetime gross, but it doesn't look like you can search by people. Thought you could. Maybe not.
Hard to imagine. Somebody has to have compiled the dreck of his career. And the problem is, too, it would have to include global box office because this crap does get released overseas. And some people are like, oh, cool, what's on the poster? Let's go see that. Oh, we got jobbed. But that makes enough money because people don't know who he is, let's say, in Belgium, like they do here.
Yeah, I was thinking there'd be something like that, but I don't see it anywhere.
Amazing. This bears more investigation. We can figure it out, though. We'll for the sake of listeners, we'll find out. So people are not hanging. So maybe in a couple of weeks we'll have a.
Oh, got it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Uwe Boll directed films have generated 41.3 million worldwide.
Holy crap! And that's out of. I could think of at least a dozen he's done. I mean, he did like 2 or 3 Blood Drains.
He's directed 14 movies as actual director. He's directed 14 films. By the Numbers, by the way, is the good website to go here. So By the Numbers says he's been a director for 14 films. Domestically, he's brought in 22.5 million. Internationally, 18.8 million. And worldwide, it's 41.3.
Not even 2 mil a picture.
Wow.
Domestic. That is horrendous. And apt, I gotta say.
I wonder how much money he's lost.
Yeah, but see, if he kind of plays that game I talked about at the beginning, if they front load budgets, he could probably turn a profit. So if he was playing that game, you know, like for this movie, you say it was like 10 million initially, and then he cobbled another 10 million. I don't see a 20 million production value on this film. Sorry, I just don't. Even if he, you know, overpaid for the computer effects. No. Not when this was made. He probably had a couple, you know, million or two squirreled away on this film. I can see that happening. I can only explain it. How are you this bad? Like, this is his second film, and it grossed 2 million domestic. How do you go on and do 12 more movies after that, unless something is cooking behind the scenes?
Oh, I mean, like I said, he's been able to continue. I also find the interview or the documentary or whatever that this guy did a deep dive on and try to send it to you and let you read it. It's pretty interesting on how he was able to milk the German.
Oh yeah, I'm positive he was gaming the system in some fashion. So that definitely happened. All right, well that's Alone in the Dark, and
found it.
We would recommend you don't spend a dime and go watch this on Tubi. What'd you find?
I found it. Uwe Boll purposely makes bad movies to exploit a German tax law which allows wealthy donors to write off income taxes on box office flops. So I'll send you. It's really long. I won't read it all here, but it's really long. And then there's another article that leads into it. But you need to read this thing. I'm going to send it to you now.
So that makes sense. So they probably give him the 10 million. He'll throw some into the budget. They get the tax write-off, and he splits a difference with them. So
right,
they can write off 10 million, and they'll actually pocket cash out of it. Yeah. Wow. Hey, I'm only mad that I didn't think of it first. All right, well, Paul, why don't you tell people where they can find more of your content?
Mostly on Twitter these days. I haven't done much with Screen Rant as far as writing goes in quite some time. They got an army of writers over there handling that now.
Oh, have you been dispatched, or you just walked away? What?
I just don't have the time anymore.
This is true. You barely got time for this show.
I do it all sorts of hours of the day.
But all right, well, yeah, go follow Paul. Paul comes up with gems from time to time, and I'm gonna have to send you that one on the board game I saw yesterday.
Yes, send me that. I haven't found it yet.
As for myself, you can find me on a daily basis over at townhall.com with my media column called Rift from the Headlines, also regular on the front page of Red State. Have a twice weekly podcast there as well, where I cover the media, called Liable Sources. And you can hear more of me on this network, KLRN. I'll be here next Thursday with Ordy Packard, as he and I guide you through the important entertainment information on the culture shift. Tuesday evenings, I'm here at 8:30 with the ever-effervescent Aggie Rican for the Cocktail Lounge, where we guide you through all kinds of ideas for leisure, from sports and cocktails, culture, art, you name it, we'll bring it to you to help you relax and enjoy yourself. And then if you need more of me than that, and let's face it, you do, you head over to Jitter. I am at Martini Shark. All right, Paul, I'm gonna try to bury my resentment this week, and you and I are gonna have to come up with another idea in a couple of weeks.
We'll find something. It's going to be close to Valentine's, isn't it?
It probably will be, yes. So
Yeah, it'll be the 15th. So I'm sure we can find something decent out there to.
Well, at the very least, there's Bloody Valentine. You can handle another movie that's in a coal mine. But we'll see maybe if we can come up with something else. Something original, something to damage your cinematic palate, as we do here on Disasters in the Making.